Good morning, friends. Today we are entering the last part of the chapter. So, the chapter is matter in our surroundings, and we have seen the matter in our surroundings is solid, liquid, or gas. We differentiated solid, liquid, and gas based on the space between the particles and the force of attraction between the particles. Then we saw the interconversion of the states of matter. That was, if you remember, solid turning into liquid by giving heat called melting, liquid turning into gas by providing heat called evaporation, gas cooling down into a liquid called condensation, and liquid cooling down into a solid state called freezing. So this was done by providing heat and taking out heat, that is cooling them. But there is one more interconversion that is to be done, and that we call sublimation. Now there is an activity shown in the figure. If you see camphor, you know what is camphor? In Gujarati we call it kafu. Yes, camphor or ammonium chloride is crushed and put into a china dish. Okay, we have to ban Chinese items, but this is the name of an yes apparatus. So we'll call it the china dish. An inverted funnel is put on the china dish. Can you see the inverted funnel is put on the china dish, and a cotton plug is put on the top so that the gases do not escape, right? So this is our setup. Now with a burner we slowly heat the camphor or the ammonium chloride, and what do you see from the activity? What will you see? What will you observe? You will observe that the camphor is giving out vapors. So the solid is turning into gas directly without going into the liquid phase. So there are some solids which go directly into the gaseous phase without going into the liquid phase. Those are called sublimates, and the process is called sublimation. So sometimes the solids turn directly into gas and gas directly into solids on cooling without going into the liquid phase. This process is called sublimation. So the definition of sublimation is conversion of solid state into gaseous state and vice versa without passing through the liquid state. And why does it occur? It occurs due to the high vapor pressure of solid state. High vapor pressure means it is in solid state with a high vapor pressure, and as soon as the pressure is released, it immediately turns into vapor instead of going in a liquid stage. So this is sublimation. Now, next we go to, so we saw that the states are changing because of the heat we provide or the heat we take out. So heat is actually related to temperature. When we increase the temperature at the melting point, solid turns into liquid. When we give further heat by increasing the temperature at the boiling point, the liquid turns into gas. And on cooling, the gas turns into liquid and liquid into solid. Now we see the effect of the change of pressure. What role pressure plays? Can pressure change the state of matter? So there is an activity shown here. Yes, what you can see in the activity? There is a gas in a cylinder and a piston, and in the diagram you can see the particles of the gas are far apart. Yes, they are quite far apart. Now the piston, force is applied on the piston and the piston is pushed down. The particles are brought near. Can you see? In this case the particles are brought near. So by applying pressure, the particles are brought near. When the particles come to a suitable distance, there will be a force of attraction among them, and we can at this position the gas may turn into a liquid. And if the liquid is compressible like LPG and we compress it still further, then it may turn into a solid, right? It may or it may not, because the to convert a solid through pressure is very difficult. But what is the effect of pressure here? By applying pressure, the molecules are brought closer, and on bringing closer, there might be a change in state. Now, one such example is solid carbon dioxide. We know carbon dioxide is a gas, but what is solid carbon dioxide? It is the gas stored at high pressure by making it a solid. Now, solid CO2 gets converted directly into gaseous state. So, carbon dioxide was made into solid state by applying pressure. On releasing the pressure, it turns directly into gaseous state. Yes, when you decrease the pressure to 1 atmosphere. So, solid carbon dioxide is also called dry ice. So, what is ice used for? Ice is used for cooling. You know that ice is very cool, used for cooling. But when we want the cooling without the humidity or without the moisture, we use a coolant which does not have a liquid state. So solid CO2 is a very good option for cooling without the moisture. So that is called dry ice. Okay, so dry ice is made by applying high pressure to the CO2, that is the gas, and on releasing the pressure to 1 atmosphere, the gas directly turns back into, the solid directly turns back into a gas, not into the liquid phase, so there is no moisture. So things which have to be preserved in cold containers without the moisture use CO2, that is the dry ice. And you should not touch the dry ice with bare hands. You have to handle it properly. It can even freeze your hands, and the blood vessels inside can freeze and the blood can turn into solid. So you have to be very careful while handling dry ice. So now we have the interconversion of matter done in 3 ways. Now we include sublimation. So you can see this diagram. What you can see, solid, yes, turns into liquid called melting, also called fusion. And liquid turning into solid is also called freezing or solidification. Liquid turning into gas is called vaporization, occurs at boiling point, and a gas turning into liquid is called condensation. And a solid directly into gas is called sublimation, and a gas directly into solid is also called sublimation, and the materials are called sublimate. So there are 2 effects, pressure and temperature, which can convert the states of matter. So this is a small chart, and if you memorize this chart, so you have to learn 6 definitions. Fusion or melting. Fusion means melting. Solidification means freezing. We have got vaporization, condensation, and sublimation. So there are 5 definitions you have to learn. In the slides, previous slide videos and this slide I have written all of them. Kindly go through them and learn them. Okay, and the question answers I will send you shortly. So here we are finishing with the interconversion of the states of matter by pressure, by changing the pressure and the temperature. Now something different, evaporation. We did the boiling. Yes, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, but now we have got a different term called evaporation. How is evaporation different from boiling? We will see how evaporation is different from boiling. Now even in evaporation, the particles of matter, yes, the particles of matter are always moving. So we have learned that the particles of matter are always moving. In solids they move in their own place, means they vibrate in their own place. In liquids they can move a little freely, change their place, and in gases they can move very freely. So at any given temperature, the gas, liquid or solid, the particles are moving and have different amount of kinetic energy. Okay, so they are different. Now in the cases of liquid, what is the special condition is a small fraction of particles at the surface. Now whenever you fill liquid in a container, say you fill a water full of glass, the particles that are inside at the bottom of the glass and the whole liquid field, there are particles at the top surface, at the very top, okay, and they also have got kinetic energy. And sometimes these particles at the surface gain enough kinetic energy to break away. Means the liquid particles which are holding the other particles, the ones at the surface, gather enough kinetic energy and they can break away from the force of attraction. So if they break away, then those particles can leave the liquid, and when those particles leave the liquid, the pressure is released, or we can say it now has more space and it's converted into vapor. So what is evaporation? Evaporation is the same like boiling, but in boiling there is kinetic energy over the whole liquid, and here we are only talking about the surface particles, the particles at the very top surface. So if we have, for example, a glass filled with water, yes, it is filled with water, then the particles at the very top on the surface, the particles on the surface, these particles on the surface, they gain enough kinetic energy and they leave the liquid, turning into vapor. So here the liquid is turning into vapor at any temperature below the boiling point. So this is, water is not at 100 degrees Celsius, or the liquid is not at 100 degrees Celsius. Much below that temperature, lot of below that temperature, the liquid is turning into vapor. So when the liquid turns into vapor much below its boiling point, this process is called evaporation. Yes, I hope I am clear to you. So when the water, so the sea water, you know how the rain clouds are formed. Now when we talk about rain, so nature has got its own phenomenon. Yes, nature has designed itself so well. So the river, the water in the rivers, the lake, the seas, it evaporates by the sunlight. Now when they evaporate, the water is hot but it is not boiling. Even when we are taking a bath in sea water, the water is evaporating, and that evaporation does not take place at the boiling point. It takes at a temperature much lower than the boiling point, almost the room temperature or the atmospheric temperature. At the sea side, the temperature is almost 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. So water is evaporating even at that temperature. So that evaporated water, when it goes higher, yes, it forms the clouds, sticks with the dust particles into very small droplets, causing the clouds. So clouds are caused by evaporation. Now in the home, when you cook or you make the milk hot or you boil the water in the cooker, then the boiling takes place at 100 degrees Celsius. So there also the water is turning into vapor, but in evaporation the water is turning into vapor at temperatures much lower. Okay, so if you are boiling the milk and you open the lid and see on the inside of the lid, then what do you see? There are water droplets inside. So that is the vapor. Okay, and the clouds which are formed are now water droplets almost in the gaseous state. So the clouds move around. This is the rainy season, you know, there are dark clouds in the sky full of water droplets. So when they reach a place and they condense means what? Become cooler again. So because of the low temperature or the pressure, if the liquid condenses, then the gas turns into water, liquid state. Now water droplets are heavy and they cannot stay in the air. So gravity brings them down. It comes down in the form of rain. So the evaporation makes the cloud and the cloud condenses to give us rain. What are the factors affecting evaporation? First is increase in surface area. So we just learned that evaporation is a phenomenon or an activity which depends on the surface. So if you increase the surface area, then the evaporation takes place faster. Now the example is, so what is the example? When you put clothes to dry. When you put clothes to dry, you do not keep them in a folded state. You spread them. So when the surface area is increased, the rate of evaporation increases and clothes will dry faster. Yes, we spread the clothes. So cooling happens faster. You drink milk or say tea in a cup, it remains hot a long time. You put them in the saucer and the increase the surface area, it becomes cooler faster. Yes? So cooling is invisible. Here the evaporation. So you put the clothes to dry, you spread them out. So the water in the clothes evaporates and lets the clothes to dry. So what do? We have to spread the clothes and not fold them together. So first was by increasing in surface area, evaporation increases. Second is increase in temperature. How temperature? With the increase in temperature, what happens? More number of particles get kinetic energy. So when you increase the temperature, the kinetic energy is increasing. When the surface particles get enough kinetic energy, it breaks free and turns into vapor. So increasing the kinetic energy increases the rate of evaporation. Then a decrease in humidity. So what is humidity? Humidity is amount of water vapor present in the air. So you must have seen this monsoon season. There is lot of water vapor in the air. You keep on perspiring. Your perspiration does not dry very quick. It is because of the humidity or water vapor in the air. Now, what happens is, because there is water vapor in the air, the air is saturated with the water vapor, means when there is enough water vapor, it cannot take more water vapor. So, if air is humid, then the evaporation will not take place. Evaporation means the particles are leaving the liquid to turn into gas, means enter the air. But in the air only, if the particles are more and it is fully filled up, saturated, then more particles cannot go. So, increase in humidity decreases the evaporation. So the decrease in the humidity will increase the evaporation. Means in the summer season, if you see, the air is fully dry and very hot. Because the air is dry and hot, it is of less density. So water quickly moves from the liquid to the gaseous state. But in the rainy season, there is high humidity in the air. On the sea beaches, on the seashores, the amount of humidity is high. Because the humidity is high, the evaporation becomes slow. An increase in wind speed will increase the rate of evaporation. How? Wind speed means what? At a certain place near the sea, water is evaporating. After some time, the air is filled with water particles, humidity becomes high. But if there is good wind, the wind will blow away the water particles towards the land, then more particles will start to evaporate. So wind speed will displace the air particles or water particles, vapor particles at one place, and by doing it, it will increase the evaporation. So you must have observed that the clothes dry faster on a windy day, because increasing the wind speed, the particles of water vapor are pushed away, decreasing the amount of water vapor in the surrounding, so then the clothes can send the particles into the air. In the rainy season, we cannot dry the clothes outside, if you have noticed. We have to take them inside the house. But what we usually do inside the house, we spread the clothes and turn the fan on. By increasing the wind speed, we are increasing the rate of evaporation, so the clothes will dry slowly but much faster if the fan is on. So these are the four factors which affect evaporation. Increase in surface area increases the rate of evaporation. Increase of temperature increases the rate of evaporation. A decrease in the humidity increases the rate of evaporation, and the increase in wind speed increases the rate of evaporation. Now we'll see how evaporation causes cooling. So nature, again I told you, we feel cool when we sit under a tree. On a hot summer day, you sit under a tree and you will feel cool. Yes? The evaporation makes us feel cool. Now, how does evaporation help us to cool down? The particles of the liquid, any liquid, yes? If a liquid has got a low boiling point, means it can easily turn into vapor. What it will do, it will try to take the heat energy from the surroundings. Okay? The particles of liquid absorb energy from the surrounding to regain the energy lost during evaporation. So, the energy it loses during evaporation, where does it take from? From the surrounding. and thus it makes the surrounding cold. Now, this is the season, again I told you, the pandemic season, corona, we have to take a lot of care. When we go out to any public place, we need to sanitize our hands. Now, as soon as you sanitize your hands, you will feel that your hands are cool. Yes, your hands feel a little cold when you use a sanitizer. What is the reason? Have you tried to understand? That when you use sanitizer or you take petrol on your hand or even some perfume, it feels cold. Why does the sanitizer feel cold? Now, sanitizer contains alcohol to kill the germs, right? Every sanitizer contains alcohol, but alcohol has a low boiling point. The alcohol in the sanitizer has a low boiling point. Now, when you put that alcohol containing sanitizer on your hand, it will take the heat from your hand and evaporate. But as they take out the heat from your hand from your palm will feel cold. So the particles gain energy from the palm. It takes the heat from the palm to evaporate and the palm will cool. So now next time you sanitize, try to observe how your hands become cold. So evaporation causes cooling. Whenever water evaporates, it takes along with it the heat energy, making the surrounding cooler. That is why we feel cool near a lake or a river or a sea. Near a water body we feel cooler because the water body is evaporating. To evaporate, it takes the heat from the environment, making the environment cooler. So even if you go to Bortala, our lake, natural lake, in the afternoon and you sit beside the water, you will feel very cool. This is the reason of its coolness. Yes? Now, why should we wear cotton clothes in summer? So this is a give reason and the question answer. Now comes from why wear cotton clothes? Why not other clothes in summer? Why do we choose to wear cotton clothes in summer? Now during summer what happens? The temperature goes very high. Yes, the northern hemisphere is quite nearer to the sun. So during summer the earth is tilted slightly towards the sun. So the temperature is increasing and we perspire more. Why we perspire? It is the mechanism of the body to keep us cool. So when you perspire, you give out the water. Then that water on the body, the sweat, evaporates. From how it evaporates, taking the heat from your body. So your body should feel cold when when you're perspiring and you go under a fan, you feel very, very cool. Why? The wind speed has increased the rate of evaporation. So the water is now quickly evaporating from your body, taking the heat from your body. That is why you feel cold. So during evaporation, the particles at the surface of the liquid gain energy from the surrounding and turn into vapor. Now, how much heat energy it takes from the surrounding? That is equal to the latent heat of vaporization. Okay? Now, cotton is a good absorber of water. Means all your perspiration, cotton soaks it. So because the cotton soaks it, it allows to absorb the sweat. Yes? So the cotton clothes that you wear is passing the water from your body to the environment. The cotton clothes will first absorb the sweat from your body and pass the sweat to the environment, and because it absorbs the sweat, the water vapor, and expose it to the atmosphere for easy evaporation, it makes your body much cooler. What happens in the nylon or the silk or the terracotta cloths that we wear, clothes if we wear, it does not absorb the water. So the the perspiration which we have sticks with the body, does not move to the clothes. So our nylon clothes or silk clothes creates a block between the atmosphere and our sweat. So our sweat cannot evaporate easily, so we will feel hot. By wearing a cotton cloth, the cotton allows the water vapor to pass from the body to the atmosphere. How? The cotton cloths first absorb the sweat and the sweat moves to the atmosphere. It evaporates, giving us a cool feeling. So it is advisable to wear cotton clothes in summer. Now, next, why do we see water droplets on the outer surface of glass containing ice cold water? So what is the activity here? Take a steel glass, fill very cold or ice cold water inside the glass and keep the glass outside for some time. Okay? Within some time you will see there is water on the outside of the glass, not the inside. Inside was already filled with cold water, but there is water on the outside of the glass. Where did the water come from the outside? So there was water vapor present in the air, right? In the atmosphere, there was water vapor present in the air. Now, the steel glass has become cold. Why? Because of the ice inside or water inside, the glass has become cold. So when this water vapor comes in contact with the cold glass, what happens? It gives heat to the cold glass. So the air particles, the vapor particles are losing the heat energy. When they lose the heat energy, the kinetic energy is decreasing and it turns into a liquid state. And that is why you see water droplets on the outside of a glass filled with cold water. So here we are done with solid, liquid and gas and the interchange in nature. Now there is a fourth set of matter which is called plasma. So let us see what is plasma. We have heard about plasma TV and plasma monitors. Yes, computer monitors are plasma, some TVs are plasma. So what is this plasma? This state is super energetic and super excited particles which are in the form of ionized gases. Means, you know gases, normal gases. Normal gases, the particles are very far apart. But the gases are neutral. What does neutral mean? If you know the structure of the atom, there are positive protons and negative electrons. Yes? In an atom, there are positive protons and negative electrons. When the positive and the negative charges balance each other, the atom is neutral. Here, the electrons are leaving the atom. So, it is no longer neutral but ionized. What is an ion? If an electron leaves an atom, a negative charge is leaving. So, the atom has now become positive charge. So, that is called ionized gases. So, gases are ionized. The examples are fluorescent tube and neon lights. When you see fluorescent tube and neon lights in any shop on the hoarding, in the advertisement, you see the light which is there. By the name of the shop is written. That is a fluorescent tube or a neon light and it has got plasma inside. So plasma is a gas inside. It is filled with a gas. Now neon gas is an inert gas. What does inert gas mean? It doesn't do a chemical reaction. Then how does it work? So let us try to see the understanding of the plasma, the neon lights. Okay, so neon is filled. Neon bulbs are filled with neon, inert gas, or helium, or xenon, or radon. These all are inert gases. They don't react. Okay, and the gas gets ionized. Now, how will the gas get ionized? Ionized means what? How are the electrons taken out from this gas? These gases are inert gases, so chemically they will not react. They will not want to give out the electrons. So you have to force them to give them the electrons. Are you following what I am trying to say? Chemical reactions takes place when an atom is unstable because there are incomplete shells. So electrons have to be given out. That will do later. I'll explain to you in some other chapter. But here, helium, neon, xenon and radon are inert gases. Means they do not chemically react. They don't give away the electrons. So we have to make them forcibly give the electrons. How do we do that? We give them a spark. Means you fill that gas in a closed glass tube and pass electric energy to that. Means you pass electricity to that. So what happens? This electric energy makes the gas leave the electrons, turning into ions or plasma. Yes? But the electrons which were given away does not remain very time in the open. Why? Because the atom has now become unstable. To become stable, it takes the electron back. And when it takes the electron back, it gives out some energy in the form of light. So, the plasma glows and it gives a color. The color depends upon the nature of the gas. So you have got yellow color, orange color, green color, red color, which are very common colors. So why these colors you can see? So this is the idea. A glass tube is filled with a gas of this inert material, and the gas inside fills depends upon which color you want. Now when you send the electric spark, the electrons leave the atom. Okay, they gain the energy and leave the atom, but it is unstable. So the gases will take the electron back, but when it takes the electron back, it has to release the energy, and this energy is thrown out in the form of light. So till the electric spark is given, this is a continuous process. So the neon lights keep on glowing the whole time until you switch off the electric current. So even our sun and all the stars in the universe, they glow because of the presence of plasma. Okay? And this plasma is very super hot, so it is almost white, but you see different colors also depending of the stars and the distance from the earth. So the plasma, how is the plasma created in stars? The plasma in stars is because of very high temperature. The sun is very hot, and there are stars much hotter than the sun. There are some stars that are 700 times hotter than the sun. So at such a high temperature, the gas turns into superheated gas called plasma. So plasma is the fourth state of matter, and I have tried to give you a little information on plasma. So plasma LEDs, plasma TVs work on this principle. Even the neon lights which you see in the shops outside. And the fifth state of matter is something called BEC, Bose-Einstein condensate. Okay? Now why it is called Bose-Einstein? Because of an Indian scientist, Indian physicist called Satyendra Nath Bose. In 1920, Satyendra Nath Bose did some calculations on the fifth state of matter. Yes, what do we see naturally? That when you heat a solid, it turns into a liquid. When you heat a liquid, it turns into gas. When you heat a gas too much, it turns into plasma. So go the reverse. Plasma condensed turns into gas. Gas cooled turns into liquid. Liquid cooled turns into solid. Okay? So what happens in the plasma? The temperature is very high and the kinetic energy of the particles is very high. When you cool it, you bring it to the gaseous state. Here also the kinetic energy is very high but lesser than plasma. You cool it more, you come to the liquid stage. Cool further, you come to the solid stage. Now if you cool it more further, if you cool a solid more further or a gas, you cannot cool a solid too much, but if you super cool a gas, what happens? When you supercool a gas, then what we learned that when we increase the temperature, the kinetic energy means movement of the particle increases, the vibration increases. So is it possible that when we cool the gas to such a low temperature that the particles stop vibrating completely? The movement of the particles stops completely. Is it possible? So it is not possible in nature, but we can artificially try to do what? Try to make it such cool, cooler that the particles stop their movement completely. Because we have learned that particles, solid, liquid and gas are always in motion. In solid it vibrates in their own place, gases can move around and liquids also can move around, gases can move around very freely. But now if we supercool a gas to such a low temperature that the movement stops completely, then we'll get something called the Bose-Einstein condensate. Now the story is Satyendra Nath Bose wrote this calculations and sent it to the Scientific Society in London. But because he was an Indian and India had not attained freedom in 1920, so his work was not given much value. Because they thought that Indians are not too much into science, so they did not give Satyendra Nath Bose work any value. They rejected his work. So what did Bose do? Bose sent this same theory to Albert Einstein. Now, Einstein was a famous scientist at that time, and Einstein was a genius. He recognized how important was the work of S.N. Bose, Satyendra Nath Bose. So Einstein read the paper, made a few necessary changes, and then forwarded the paper to the scientific society. Now because Einstein's name was attached to it, the society accepted the paper. But then Credit was even given to Bose, so it is called Bose-Einstein condensate. And when they realized the value of this theory, then today the subatomic particles, yes, energy particles are called bosons in the honor of Satyendranath Bose. So, in 2001, Eric A. Cornell, Wolfgang Ketterle and Kali Wayman of USA received the Nobel Prize for achieving Bose-Einstein condensation. So, this Bose-Einstein concentration is cooling a gas. You have to cool a gas. Yes? So, Bose-Einstein condensate is formed by cooling a gas. But cooling a gas of extremely low density. The gas should be how low density? 100,000 the density of normal air and to super low temperatures. So BEC is a super cooled gas, and now the particles do not behave as particles, but it acts as a whole entity together, causing a single quantum state. So remember BEC, in BEC the particles are not separate. The particles have come together as one entity in a single quantum state. So here is some information for you. Since 1995, lot of BEC has been generated in the laboratory, but it collapses, the cloud. The cloud collapses. Which cloud? The BEC cloud. The particles coming together as one entity form a cloud, but it collapses on the earth because of gravity. Because of gravity. So what was the solution? The cold atom laboratory, also called CAL. What is it? It is a small suitcase sized device filled with chill atoms of rubidium and potassium. Yes, it's a suitcase of the insulated material and very cool. It is put in a vacuum chamber. So this super cool gas, rubidium and potassium, as a gas are put into this chamber and it is launched into one of the coldest places in the universe. So which is one of the coldest places in the universe? It is space, the ISS, the International Space Station. So the International Space Station is in the space. So they send this into space at one of the coldest parts in the universe because we want temperature as low as possible. And when the clouds of atoms are cooled at minus 273 degrees Celsius, means such a low, then it produces a BEC. And how was the BEC studied? Laser light is used to see the movement of the BEC particles. Yes. So this is being studied, is being done, recorded in an International Space Station because it is one of the coolest places. So these last two matters, plasma and Bose-Einstein condensate, are just for informative purposes, but still you need to know what plasma is and BEC is because they can be asked in a MCQ. So here we finish the lesson, matter in our surroundings. So we have done 5 states of matter: solid, liquid, gas, plasma, and the Bose-Einstein condensate. So I sign off here for today. And I am very glad that you are listening to this videos properly, and I hope you are learning the material and understanding. If you have got any doubts, you can send me on my WhatsApp. Okay, I end here. Thank you.